Hello there. Welcome to the Confident Woman Lead podcast. I'm your host, Anita Miller. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about the power of proactive career management. So, July was a really good month in terms of creating results for the members of Confident Woman Lead or mitigating some risk and some impact given current market conditions, right? Because we can be working toward a goal, but we also sometimes in our career have to mitigate some headwinds, right? So in today's current marketplace, there are some headwinds that some of us are facing, and being proactive allows us to mitigate those headwinds, reduce those headwinds so that we can have the outcomes that we desire and minimize downtime if that's not what we're looking for in this season of our career. So, let's get into some of the stories and some of the examples that I want to share with you today. And let me be clear, these aren't just all feel-good moments. They're concrete examples from real people, real women, just like you, of how the strategies and support that we provide inside of Confident Women Lead can transform your career trajectory. So let's get into it. So the first story or example I want to provide for you today is a reminder of the long-lasting impact that you can have on your career, whether you are still at a place or whether you had left a place many seasons ago. So just last week, a previous colleague reached out to me, and she was reaching out because she was preparing to leave a company that we both have worked for or had worked for. And she was making her rounds, so to speak. So she was saying her goodbyes, having her final meetings, doing her what I'll call offboarding or exiting process that a lot of times takes place as you get to a certain level of leadership, certain level of management. It doesn't always take place in the beginning of your career, but it does as you move up. And once you have been at an organization long enough, you have a brand that is solidified, right? You don't just walk out the door, you don't just give your notice, you say your goodbyes to people, you keep some form of connection to those relationships because people circle back. You never know if you'll work with these people again. You never know if there's somebody who can help you out, promote you in the future. So you don't want to just leave cold as you would maybe earlier in your career or if you haven't been in an organization a very long time. So she was reaching out, and one of the things that she said to me was, I was having my, farewell tour, doing my farewell tour. Your name came up. It came up several times today, in fact. And I'll be honest, it caught me a little off guard because this particular company I haven't worked for in years, like at least 3 to 4 years. And so for my name to still come up, it kind of shocked me, to be honest. And what I wanted to make sure I bring forth for this call is it reinforced to me the power of your brand, right? So we think about a brand when we're in the mix of it, when we're at a company, but what about you is left when you leave? What about your brand, your impact is left? What about it is what you want people to remember of you? And so I want to share with you that you can lead, you can make an impact, and you can leave a legacy far beyond your time at any organization, no matter who you are, no matter what level you currently are, or that you leave that organization at, if you are willing to hone your brand, hone how people see you, your reputation, and you are controlling the perception and narrative that people have around you, right? Because the conversations that she was having were not negative about me. They, something in the conversation triggered a thought or a reminder about something even that I had shared with them in terms of their career. But there was another reason for her reaching out to me that I also want to share with you because it's another side of the same coin. During our exchange, she told me, I just wanted to tell you, you were right. I got stuck. Now, at this phase of my life, I'm not happy to hear that, right? My ego doesn't need to be told that I was right. It doesn't need to be validated for being right. In fact, it saddens me. I don't want to be right in this case. I want you, I want her, I want others to be willing to listen when advised, especially from someone who looks like you. So I've talked in this podcast before about our unconscious bias for taking guidance from each other, but it is the best guidance that when it's from the right person, when you really take into consideration the wisdom, the knowledge, the perspective, the information that's being given to you, that is the most helpful. Right, because no one else was going to tell her that she got stuck. In fact, what people told her, people who at the time outright me, was pretty much do your time. But my guidance to her was the longer you stay on this team, the more likely it is that you can get stuck. So here we are, we find ourselves years later. And what ends up happening is that the people that you came up the ranks with are starting to get promoted and you're not, because you've put yourself in a team, in a situation that causes you to get stuck. And sometimes that's not on your own. It's like not your fault, right? Sometimes the dynamics of a particular team, whether it's the leadership team, whether it's the work that you do, can cause you to get stuck in an area or stuck at a level where you're wanting more. And you have to be aware of those dynamics, which is why we have strategy calls inside of CWL, which is why I'm always mentoring and coaching and telling folks, what I'm seeing so that they do not get stuck. Okay. So this leads me to one final point when it comes to this particular scenario, and that is everything I teach. I teach from lessons learned, from wisdoms, not from hypotheticals, not from some document you can read that gives you, strategies that haven't been deployed or deployed by people who don't look like you, who's not a woman like you, who's not a minority woman like you, who don't face the challenges and what they say and how they say it like you. Everything that I tell you is a combination of my own experiences, my ability, my gifts, and my wisdom in terms of being able to see patterns. Those patterns allow me to see what is systemic at two levels. Systems happen at two levels. One, based on how business operates, especially here in America, right? There are systems in place. So you'll find that no matter what company you go to, you're having a similar experience because it's systemic. Then the next layer on top of that is how people operate in said system can also be systemic. What people are allowed to do can be systemic. The type of personalities you experience can be systemic from a people perspective. Because if you're paying attention, or if you're inside of Confident Women Lead and you're telling me about your experience, I can tell you or coach you on the type of personality you're dealing with, because there are personality types. And there are office politics, and those politics are a play on people trying to work within the underlying system that has been given to us all. So when I say, hey, this situation is going to lead you to get stuck, I'm not saying it because I'm jealous. I'm not saying it because I don't want you to proceed. I'm saying it because the wisdom, the gifts that God has given me allow me to see how people move. I've always been an observer of people. It's allowing me to see the pattern. Okay, it's one thing if I experience and only I experience it. But if I experience it and 10 other women inside of Confident Women Lead have had a similar experience, then it's not a me or her thing, it's a systemic thing. And then if you want to talk about what to do about that, then again, we have these type of conversations inside of CWL. Okay, so let's get back on track here. All right, so the next example that I want to highlight is the importance of being prepared and reading your environment. You got to be reading the tea leaves, sis. You got to be paying attention to what's going on, especially in today's current market where things are tighter than they have been for the last 3 to 4 years. So one of the members inside of CWL had been working for a company, and a company that was, merging, being acquired, struggling, however you want to look at it. However you want to look at it, the writing was on the wall that the time there might be limited. And in our conversations and our strategy calls, we talked about next steps to take to mitigate any headwinds. And while we were able to do that, while this particular member wasn't caught off guard when she did get laid off, I want you all to be thinking about how you take in information and whether or not it is causing you to enter into overwhelm and to get stuck. Because the point of which you see something, you've got to be willing to process that something so that you can move forward. A freeze response for us as a people does not bode well. So inside of Confident Women Lead, when you get to a freeze response, when I tell you something and you're like, oh, I'm not ready for that, or oh, I'm overwhelmed, it gives us an opportunity to coach on it, to process those emotions with you so that you can take action when you leave. That's one of the benefits of being coached. And so I want you to realize that being prepared isn't about being pessimistic. It's about being realistic and it's about being proactive. And so inside of Confident Woman Lead, we give you the tools, like I mentioned, coaching is a tool and support to do just that. So I'm going to give you a strategy. That strategy might be it's time for you to break out your resume and start applying for jobs so that when you do get laid off, you already have some motion, some traction, some movement in the marketplace, and the downtime you have will be limited. Because here's the deal. The other folks, in case you're not aware, when they get laid off, they go through all sort of measures to try to find employment so that they can capitalize off of their severance pay. The whole goal for them is not to, hey, the severance pay will hold me for umpteen amount of weeks, whether that's 2 weeks, whether that's 26 weeks, whatever that package is for you. Their whole goal is to find employment, even if it's going to be temporary, so that they don't have to touch that money, so that they can use that money to pay off debt and subsequently to build wealth. So when I give you a strategy, this is the understanding that I'm working from. I'm working from, hey, even if you get laid off, the more that we can minimize that, the more we can minimize your downtime, the better situation you will find yourself in, both physically, mentally, and financially. Okay. Y'all ready for the next story? I know I've said a lot so far. So the first story was being thoughtful about the mentorship and guidance that you're given, both from myself, but also from other Black men and women who hopefully are trying to help you to steer you in the right path. Don't discount what we say to each other because we think white is right. Okay? Or because we think we have no power or no understanding thereof. Don't discount that. And then the last story was around, hey, when you see the tea leaves, when you see things are moving around, when you see you can't get answers, when people are trying to find out what you do for work, but not telling you why all of a sudden they want to know what you're doing, when there are reorgs or restructurings, right? Or if other people are getting laid off around you and maybe you didn't get laid off this cut, you still have got to take the steps to prepare for yourself, to be strategic so that you can capitalize off of whatever hand you are dealt. And if you want help with that, you can go to confidentwomanlead.com and click on the link to sign up so that I can help you with that strategy and next steps for your career. So remember, I told y'all though, it was a really good week, a really good month inside of CWL. So I got a note from a previous CWL member, and I'm going to read you the note because one, she told me I could use her testimony as long as I didn't provide her name, so no name will be given. So the note says, "Hey Anita, hope you're doing well. I joined Confident Women Lead Coaching and Community a while back, and we've had a few conversations about my career. You revamped my resume and encouraged me to seek employment elsewhere where I would be respected and could earn more money based on my experience and skill set. Long story short, I did just that. I started my first manager role with a 45K salary increase with a different company. Thank you for your support, encouragement, professionalism, and for helping Black women excel with confidence in corporate America. It's working. Keep going." And so this particular member, even though she couldn't afford to stay inside of Confident Women Lead at the time, she took action. She trusted the process, and it paid off in a big way, right? So a $45,000 salary increase is nothing short. And if my memory serves me correctly, this increase put her at a little bit above six figures. And she wanted to move into a managerial role. She wanted to become a people leader, and she was able to accomplish that. That is life changing. I mean, she almost, not quite, but she almost doubled her salary. And all she had to do was to be willing, in this case, to stop trying to prove to her manager that she had previously that she was somebody, that she could do it, that she wasn't going to let them win. You win by going to get what's yours, where you can be respected, where you can make the money that you can demand in the marketplace. That's how you win, not trying to prove something to folks that don't care for you at all. That's the hard road. Don't take that path. And then the final success story in CWL that I want to share with you is about one of my members who refused to get stuck in the middle. So last week, this particular member was promoted, and this promotion for her puts her in the executive management team. Now, I'm not going to tell you that it was an easy journey. I'm not going to tell you that there wasn't some politicking that needed to be done. One of the things that we worked on with her was her executive presence. That was some of the feedback that she got. And this is a turnaround story. So this particular member came to me after being promoted, right? So she came to me, let's say 18 months to 2 years ago, and she had just been promoted. She applied for a promotion that just happened to come up last year and was passed over. And that's when she got serious about making sure the next opportunity that came up, she was going to get the promotion. We took that feedback and we've been executing against it. I don't even think it's been a full year. Let's say for the last 9 months. And lo and behold, here we sit. Right. And so this is the thing, you can get passed over for promotion. But if you get stuck in your feelings, if you don't process the disappointment, if you are not willing to put in the strategy, there was strategy that we deployed this year. Strategy about how to navigate her boss, strategy for how to navigate the office politics, strategy for the reason why she couldn't just stay where she was. Right? There was strategy around how do I show my executive presence. When it came to interviewing for this promotion, if executive presence was something she needed to work on coming out of the last interview, it means that she can't show up looking like or sounding like she did last year. Why not? Because they thought something was missing. They thought her brand needed to step up. So we got on calls, we practiced the interview questions. Not only that, we talked about what type of language is necessary at an executive level, because the way you communicate, the way you talk, the way you deal with situations is not the same when you're working in middle management and when you're just getting started. How you answer these questions says a lot about whether or not you are ready for the next level. How you present, yes, what you look like says, are you understanding what is required of you at the next level? These are all things that we worked on so that when she went to interview, she looked the part. She knew what to say. She was confident about it, right? this is the work that's being done inside of Confident Women Lead. And we are, as you can see in this episode, getting results. One of the biggest things I want you to take away from this particular one is this. Throughout our conversations over time, right? Because we've been working on this for the last 9 months or so, 12 to 15 months, it became clear to me that she was not going to be her boss's pick for succession. A couple things had been done that told me he wasn't going to pick her, even if technically she should have been. And let's be clear, most times we should be, right? But that's not how it plays out. His language, his word choices told me that he would prefer that she stayed where she was. And that, my friends, my sisters, is working for him, not being his peer. So imagine if she had stuck with the previous strategy that she had, which was, or kind of some of the guidance or thoughts was, stay here. This particular leader is going to retire in a few years. You'll succeed him. Blase, blase, right? But the words he's saying to you day in and day out don't align with that. Then you have to understand that and make the right decisions for you, not for the team, not for the organization, for you. Because she might have waited 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, however long, only to be passed over. And when that happens, it is soul crushing. If that has happened to you, it hurts. And so I'm incredibly proud of her for being willing to see the hard truth, to being open to hearing what I was saying. I always give rationale for why I say what I say. I always will explain it to you. And even though that is disheartening, sometimes it's not what you want to hear, it is far better than staying put someplace based on misplaced loyalty to an organization or a person or assumptions and then getting passed over. Because again, based on assumptions, she should succeed him, or she should have been his person in his succession plan. But I can guarantee you she wasn't going to be. So here we are, having gotten promoted. And while he said congratulations, it was, oh, yeah, congratulations. But before you go, let me give you all this work to do. Because no one else on the team is going to work as hard as you. No one else on the team is going to do what you've done, right? He has decided that that is her place. That is what the team needs because we, she, you make their lives easier. That is the value. You being my peer at a certain level is not what I'm going for. And we need to be cognizant that not everybody wants to see that. And it's okay. They're just not our people. And so we do what we did for this particular member and we move on and we execute a strategy that allows us to get to the desired goal we have for ourselves, regardless of what other people think. And so as we wrap up today's episode, I want to emphasize a few key points. One, your impact can last long after you've left the organization. Make it count. Two, don't ignore the signs. Don't ignore the signs. If you feel stuck or you see trouble ahead, take action and take action now. 3, invest in yourself. You can join CWL for $350 a year and get your resume reviewed and get all this goodness that I've showcased in today's episode, but tailored for your specific needs. The right guidance and support can lead to significant career advancements and, of course, financial gains. And then number 4, trust your instincts, sis, but also trust expert advice. Sometimes an outside perspective can help you see opportunities that you might be missing, but an outside perspective can also cover your 6. It can cover your blind spots. At CWL, we are committed to helping you navigate your career with confidence and with a winning strategy. Whether it's through our resume review process, our interview prep calls, or just all around strategic career and business planning, we're here to help support you on your journey to success. If you're ready to take control of your career and avoid getting stuck in the middle, I invite you to join us inside of CWL. Go to confidentwomanlead.com, click I want in, I need help, I'm ready, all of the things, and we are here to help support you. On top of that, if you join in the next couple of days, or if you go to Confident Woman Lead to sign up in the next couple of days, I am offering a free trial period, right? So if you want to come in and experience our calls, if you want to see what's available in our tools, that is available only for the next few days. So make sure you don't miss out on this offer. All right. So with that, Confident Women Lead because we take action to cover ourselves first and leave a lasting impact. I love you, sis.